Hello and welcome back to the Dugout podcast. This is episode number 43. I'm your host, Alexander Cruikshanks. And today I'm joined by my two co hosts, as usual, Laurie Finlayson and Ethan Barlow. And today we have a special guest, one of our uni classmates and the host of Ryan's Radio Hour on Paisley Radio, Ryan Niven, St Mirren fan, here to talk about, we obviously a big achievement for St Mirren at the weekend there. Ryan, how you doing, mate? Good to have you.
Absolutely delighted to be here, mate. I've been a keen fan of the Dugout since I've discovered it in uni. I've watched every single episode. I get it up on the big screen at home. So to be here, it's kind of like I'm jumping into the TV screen. It's brilliant. Thanks for having me on, boys. I'm doing good and I'm ready to talk Scottish football, the thing I love the most.
Yeah. That's a big compliment there from Ryan. Ethan, how are you doing, mate? Did you enjoy your weekend? You were at the races, weren't you?
Yeah, I was at the races, so I didn't catch much of the Celtic game. I think you only needed to watch half an hour of the Celtic game anyway, by the looks of it. But yeah, I caught a bit of the two games yesterday on Sunday. Two good games as well. So yeah, I'm doing good. How's yourself?
Ah, no bad, no bad. Just see, to be fair, the league actions just kind of a second thought to me right now. We've got something big to focus on. I think you've seen by the team that Barry Ferguson put out that our focus is very much not on the league. Laurie, I will just come to you. Um, Ethan said you didn't catch much of the Celtic game. Were you unfortunate enough to have your eyes on it?
Unfortunately, yes, I put myself through all 95 minutes or thereabouts. You're right, all you need to do, Ethan, is watch the first 24 minutes and you're golden. And then after 29, you see Kelly score off a cross. But pretty resounding win for Celtic. We'll get into that a bit later, but I unfortunately did watch it.
Yeah. So I think we've got quite a lot to talk about for this episode. Europe, the top six and bottom six confirmed. We're going into the split now, and there's some exciting stuff happening in the championship at the bottom end. It's all to play for. We'll quickly talk about Rangers' game on Thursday night. Rangers versus Athletic Club de Bilbao, 0-0. Robin Proper was sent off. I think it was around the first 10 minutes. So Rangers with a really, really good sort of defensive display. Liam Kelly saving a penalty. He was the big call, getting brought in for Jack Butland, and I think he proved it with some good saves as well as the penalty save. It was a justified decision, although a nice moment. Jack Butland was the first one to at the end of the game to come up and congratulate him. So, goalkeepers union kind of thing. But Laurie, I'll just come to you first. What did you make of Rangers' performance on Thursday?
Yeah, I thought Rangers did very well, especially as you alluded to, Alex, the fact that they went down to 10 men so early. I think Rangers did really well to kind of keep their discipline, keep their shape, stick together. A lot of the stuff that, is missing from Rangers domestic form, we say that near enough every time. That was seriously impressive. I mean, if anything, Bilbao looks a little bit blunt by their standards going forward, maybe, but then that's actually a credit to Rangers more than anything, especially being a centre half down with what was, I'm telling you, pretty blatant red card. Sorry to Alan McCoy's there, but yeah.
Yeah, I think he gets a bit in his emotions when he's watching Rangers. Um, Although I saw a breakdown that Bobby Mann did, if it had been in the box, it would have been a yellow card offence as he's made a genuine attempt at the ball. So double jeopardy comes into play, but unfortunately it was just outside the box, and I think it was Inaki Williams who would have been in on goal. Um,
Yeah.
and I saw an interesting thought on it as well that a better defender with a bit more pace would have just marshalled Inaki Williams instead of diving in to try and win the ball and what was such a dangerous position. But yeah, Ethan, you're also very much on the side of blatant red card.
Yeah, I think it was. I think Inaki Williams, he gets across proper, and if proper doesn't bring him down, I think he's getting a shot away. So I think it is a clear red card. I don't really see any argument against that. Yeah, I think definitely if it was in the box, then the double jeopardy rule comes into play, because he has genuinely tried to play the ball. He's just Williams is too quick and nicks it away from him. But yeah, brilliant result for Rangers on the night. I think, well, apart from yourself, Alex, I think me and Laurie backed Bilbao to win, but they didn't even register a goal, especially playing with what, by the time you put the added time on it, probably a full 90 minutes with 10 men. So,
Well, we,
yeah,
we,
a brilliant result for
we
Rangers,
played
and they can
about
take.
10, maybe 5-10 minutes with 9 men as well, because Dujon
Yeah,
Sterling had to
yeah,
come up
as well.
injured, and we'd used all our substitutes.
Yeah, definitely.
So
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. I mean, as soon as I seen, I didn't actually get to watch any of the game. But when I seen it went down to 10 men, Rangers went down to 10 men, I thought it's going to be a long evening. But they done really well, defended well. Kelly had to make some good saves. Brilliant save for the penalty. I think the mental implications of the game as well will really benefit Rangers. I mean, the confidence playing with a man down for that amount of time and not losing any goals, whereas Bilbao will be frustrated that they didn't come away with a lead, especially after having the ball in the net. Okay, it was offside and missing, or Liam Kelly saving the penalty. And I will get on to predictions in a minute, but I've got a sneaky feeling that Rangers might just be able to do it in Bilbao,
I've got a feeling as
because
well. Yeah, I fancy our chances.
I think
I'm telling you,
the only
I fancy
problem
our chances.
area would maybe be the only problem area would maybe be the central defence, because obviously you've not got Proper there, you're not going to have Sterling there either, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. I think Sutter's obviously going to play, and
I'll
I
tell you
think
what I
Leo
think.
Balogun,
I'll tell you what I
is
think.
he still fit?
Yeah, I think it'll be Suter, Balogun, Tav, Ridvan at right wing back, and Jeff at left wing back. We've seen it before, and I think that's the way he'll go. Obviously, with Kelly and the sticks, Diomande's back, so pair him with Raskin and Barron in there, and then up top I would have Dessers and Cherney. I don't. A lot of people would maybe
Yeah,
want
that was the
Igaman.
exact team
Uh,
I was thinking.
a lot of people would want Igaman instead, but I think Igaman's a better technical player. But see, when you're playing on the back foot against teams that are going to have more of the ball, and you need a guy who's going to run the back line, press, try and just make a nuisance of himself. Cyril Dessers is quite good at that. Agaman will give you a spectacular goal. He'll maybe dribble through a few. We saw it against Bilbao when he was wasting time, taking four of them for a walk in the corner. But yeah, I would go with that team. Ryan, I don't know if you saw
Yeah,
the game on
I agree with that.
Thursday. But yeah, Ryan, I don't know if you
Yeah,
saw the game on
I think
Thursday.
going into the game.
Sorry, just talk, just talk. Zoom's
No,
confusing
yeah,
sometimes.
going into the game, Rangers probably, would have wanted to take a lead going over to Bilbao, but you get a man sent off after 13 minutes. It's not ideal. It's a red card every day of the week, twice on a Sunday. Rangers just showed a different side to them. I think one we've not really seen. Just defensive solidity, everyone working together. It's a Thursday night thing for Rangers. They turn up, and I think that's the story of Rangers this season, really. A Thursday night is where they come alive. Liam Kelly, what a penalty save that was from him. Everyone just was backs to the wall for 90 odd minutes. I think a draw was the best possible outcome after the red card. And they go to Bilbao. And, Bilbao, I think, as Ethan touched on, mentally, you've got an extra man for practically 90 minutes. You've not been able to break down that Rangers team, and a Rangers team who in recent times have conceded 2 goals in near enough every single match they've played, and you've not been able to break that defence down. I think Rangers have a massive psychological advantage going over to Bilbao, and I'm like Ethan, I can see Rangers doing it.
Yeah, well, maybe all of us are of that opinion. Laurie's not perhaps hinted at what he's thinking yet, but yeah, I'd agree with that. And I've actually after we drew with them, I kind of looked into Bilbao's sort of results throughout the season. They've actually lost less games in La Liga than Real Madrid. They just draw a lot, and they have a few nil-nils in there, which is maybe a mental barrier for them this season that they can't seem to get over that hump. So we'll go. We've got a lot to talk about, so we'll do some predictions for the second leg. But yeah, I think Rangers will be able to do it. I'll come to you first, Ryan, before, and we'll just go through everyone and get a prediction for the second leg in Bilbao.
Well, I think, and you're not going to like this, Alex, as a Rangers man, and as having to watch this, but I reckon it finishes 0-0 after 90 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
And I think Rangers will nick it in extra time. And I'm even going to give you a goal scoring prediction. I reckon Connor Barron's going to fire one in from about 35 yards out, send Rangers through to the semi final.
That is the roguest prediction of all time. He's got like the worst shot on him in the Rangers team. He can't shoot. The kid can't shoot. But
He's only scored. He's only scored 2 goals for Aberdeen. I don't think he's scored for Rangers yet, has he?
And one of those goals for Aberdeen was against St Mirren, and it was one of the best goals I've ever seen in my lifetime. So, Connor Barron can dig them out. He's just not been able to really dig them out for Rangers.
Okay. So, yeah, extra time, which I do not want, and Connor Barron with a 35-yard banger. Put money on it. Gamble responsibly. But yeah, Laurie, will come to you next. What are you thinking for the second leg?
Yeah, so like all of you as well, I'm kind of thinking that Rangers will manage to get the job done in Bilbao. I think it will just be a case of nicking it though. I'm saying 2-1 to Rangers, and I'm not going to give a goal scoring prediction. Certainly not one as left field as Ryan's.
All right, Ethan, you next. Predictions?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna go with the same as Laurie. I think it'll be tough for Rangers. It's not going to be an easy task, but I just think, uh, I don't know. I just think Rangers can nick it. They've shown that they can go away to these difficult places like Fenerbahce and get results. Bilbao have only lost once at home in the league this season, so they're strong at home as well. But I think Rangers will just nick it 2-1, and I'll go with Dessers and Igaman for the goal scorers.
Okay. I'm gonna go with a clean sheet in the 90 in Spain, and I'm gonna go with 2-0 to Rangers. I think Dessers will score, and I think Cherry's due another European goal. Also, he in every European game he's scored in this season, Rangers have won, so that's a good sign if he does get in amongst it. But yeah, I feel like even in the first 10 minutes before we got the man sent off, there were moments where we were breaking up the park and threatening. Tierney had a shot that was, he's a trademark cutting in on that left foot, but he just didn't wrap his foot around it. But yeah, all of us going with a Rangers win. Hopefully that is the case, and Rangers will progress to face either Leon or Man United in the semi-finals. But yeah, that's it for the European talk. Now onto the good stuff, the real top level football. I think we should just lead off with it. Ryan, Paisley Saints top six. that Um, how does it feel? How does it feel?
I'll be honest, it's one of immense pride. If a statistic was released in the last 3 seasons, only Rangers, Celtic, and St Mirren have finished 3 consecutive seasons in the top six. But also, it's a feeling of relief, to be honest with you, because if we finished in the bottom six, we'd be looking over our shoulder. Obviously, we'll touch on the bottom six a little bit later on, but I think we've picked up the majority of our points against teams in the top six. We've taken 6 off Rangers, 7 off Hibs, 6 off Aberdeen. So I feel on the balance of play, we deserve to be there. It's not been an easy season. We've had 3 players stuck in the pokey for various criminal activities.
Oh yeah, forgot
Um,
about that.
we've had VAR the most errors against us for the second consecutive season. The SFA have tried a conspiracy against us this year, and we've picked up the points where it matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have, and it's
Exactly. I mean, just to jump in on that, Ryan, the way St Mirren have been this season, let's just be clear on something, right? If it's 3 consecutive top six finishes, before that it was no top six football since the 80s. But obviously this season you've had, well, the issues with players you allude to contend with. You've had, well, the so-called European hangover and the kind of struggle for consistency. It sounds very much like my team, Kilmarnock, but the difference is St Mirren have actually had much more adversity than we have, and you've handled it a heck of a lot better. That's a real credit to Stephen Robinson, I've got to say.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Stephen Robinson he has this knack of just getting players up for it. He's got a knack of just grinding out results. You've obviously saw him at Motherwell back 2 cup finals in one season. He unearths players, obviously he unearthed a few wrong-uns this season, but the players that have came in, we've played well. Edowu, he's not really got much football recently, scoring a goal to get us through. Ayunga been injured for practically a year, scores a belter. Boyd Munce firing shots in from 25 yards out about 3 weeks in a row. So Stephen
Don't
Robinson and
remind
the
me.
players deserve a lot of credit. And the last thing I've got to say on St Mirren today is Alexa, play some Joy Division because hearts are falling apart again.
No, but I think
sorry to that.
just to speak on some of your points there, Ryan. I think I got a lot of credit's got to go Stephen Robinson's way because I think earlier in the season when it was really really tight at the bottom, I think there was a few people saying St Mirren could fall into that relegation playoff, and a few St Mirren fans weren't too happy with Stephen Robinson and wanted him gone. He obviously got to the club backed him with the new contract. And he's paid them back. I mean, top six finish, as you said. I think Europe maybe a step too far with a point gap at this stage. But as you said, St Mirren picked up most of their points against the teams above them rather than below them. So you never know. But I think the biggest thing is just the relief of being able to relax for the last few weeks of the season, knowing you're not going to be in contention for relegation, where even Hearts, who are in seventh, are only 6 points ahead of Dundee. So I think anything could happen in that bottom area. Whereas St Mirren are safe. But no, a brilliant achievement for St Mirren. And just they'll need to build on that next season. But yeah, I think it was probably the best game of the weekend. Well, maybe. It was definitely up there. But yeah, a brilliant win for St Mirren.
Yeah, Ryan, just quickly as well. I believe in relation to St Mirren making top six, you've lost a bet. If you could just tell the viewers what that is.
Well, yes. So when we were sitting in that sort of relegation zone, and a lot of us were thinking we're not getting top six, I said to one of my mates, I said, you know what? St Mirren get top six. I will get Alex Gogic, the absolute beautiful Cypriot man that he is, tattooed on my body. St Mirren are now in top six, so I'm gonna have to come back on the dugout at some point, and you will see a lovely Alex Gogic tattoo on me. because I am a man of my word, and I'm hoping it gets picked up by Alex Gogic when I post it on social media, and hopefully I get to meet the man, and I'm not just getting a tattoo for the sake of it here.
Yeah. Are you getting a like a picture of him, or just his name, or?
Um, well, the bit was that I'd have to get a picture of Alex
Oh
Gogic
my God.
tattooed on me, so I'm gonna get a picture of Alex Gogic with the word Idemo on top of it. Um, and I was thinking last night, boys, where to get this tattoo, Do I want it on my arm? Do I want it on my calf, And I thought to myself, do you know where I'll put it? I'm gonna put it right where my heart is. Because Alex Gogic holds a special place in my heart for all the work he's done for St Mirren the last 3 years.
Oh.
Yeah, either people will recognise that, or they'll think you're a big Harry Potter fan. But yeah, I don't know. It seems like that went over everyone's heads there. Voldemort guys.
No, not at all.
Oh,
It's
well.
very much like a Lord Voldemort or even John Joe Shelby lookalike if you want a football reference. But Alex, I might as well ask you. I thought Alex Gogic may be close to your heart as well as a former Akis player.
Yeah, I remember him. Remember him.
Rocky's legend.
Well, we won't quite say legend, but he was all right.
Oh, you're not one of these.
One of these what?
Oh, Tony Bill, you wouldn't like you, Alex, if you're one of these two. If you're one of these two
Uh,
team ones.
no, Aki's is like
Tony Bill, you's not gonna like you for that.
Aki's is like my second team. I've just kind of adopted them. I like to see them do well. If Rangers played Aki's, though, I'd support Rangers, like obviously. But uh,
Okay.
I just I quite like Hamilton Accies. They're a good community club, and I don't want to see them go down, which doesn't look like they are. They're on a decently run of form. But yeah, oh yeah, I'll make it. I said this in private, but I'll make it public. If Rangers win the Europa League, I'm getting a tattoo of the trophy and maybe some writing, some players maybe. But I'll make that public now. But
I'm gonna out you here, Alex. Alex actually in private, and we'll make this public now. Alex actually said that he would get a tattoo of the Nigerian king himself, Cyril Dessers, if Rangers should win the Europa League.
yeah, fine. I'll get a tattoo of Cyril Dessers if Rangers win the Europa League. I'll put it public, okay? We'll say a calf tattoo of the Nigerian nightmare. But yeah, that's that for all the tattoo talk. St Mirren with a good win to seal the top six. Onto the game that fell in their favour. Motherwell 0, Hearts 0. And Ryan, I'm assuming when you're watching, St Mirren's game, you're refreshing your phone to look at the other result.
Well, yeah, what? It was unfortunately I was out at the weekend, so I wasn't at the St Mirren game. So I had St Mirren TV up on one screen and Motherwell TV up on the other, and I was watching it, and we're not going to reveal how I was watching those in the United Kingdom because we're not going to do that. But well, we'll watch. Hearts and Motherwell didn't look like two teams who knew they had to win for a top six place. I mean, like I was watching it and I was thinking, do these boys know what's at stake here? Because I'm just watching two teams probably play out the worst 90 minutes of football you're going to see in a while. Obviously after the game you saw Hearts fans booing their players, and as a St Mirren fan, there's nothing more glorious than Hearts tears. Motherwell, obviously, you know, Motherwell not being in the top six is a bit of a surprise for the start they had because they started really well. But I'm not going to complain. They played out a terrible 90 minutes. We got our job done. Hearts are falling apart. Neil Critchley's probably getting the sack because you've had since October. And this is what I don't understand is people saying, "Oh no, Neil Critchley shouldn't get sacked," sort of thing. Neil Critchley's been in the Hearts job since October. I don't care that you were in the bottom two when he came in. You've had since October with Lawrence Shankland in your team, Jan Dander, Blair Spittle. You've had all these players in your team, and you failed to get top six. I'm sorry, Neil Critchley has to go.
But the players have been rubbish though.
No, I can understand that.
Yeah,
Shankland's obviously
I
got
think
his eye on the move to Ibrox.
sorry, I was just going to say, I think that's part of the reason because they're not rubbish players. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
No,
I
but
remember.
Shankland was poor under Stephen Naismith as well.
Yeah, so Critchley hasn't been able to fix what Naismith couldn't
Critchley
fix.
hasn't improved. If anything, still.
Okay, but I don't think you should sack Critchley yet. I think it'd be way too early. I know he
I don't.
hasn't. I know he hasn't won any of the so-called big games, which the Hearts fans keep going on about. But I think you look at some of the players he brought in January. I think some of them have been good additions. I think you would give him the summer window to see what he can do. But yeah, it has been a really poor season so far for Hearts. There's no getting away from that. To
Hearts
finish in the
fans
bottom
must love
six is just below
Critchley.
Hearts'
Losing it,
standards.
getting dog walked by Hibs every time they play them. They must love him. Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's not ideal. It's not ideal for Hearts, but they've still got a semi-final. I
Oh
don't see
yeah.
them as favourites for that, but
No
they
wonder
could.
I forgot
They
about
could
the
get.
Scottish Cup, even just because we're not in it.
They could get. They could get to a Scottish Cup final. But yeah, really poor. Critchley played the diamond again. It didn't work again. 3 losses on the bounce, no goals. And they've had 2 chances to secure top six. They had against United last week. They lost. And then they had here. They just had to win. But they couldn't do it. And I mean, Motherwell looked even less likely. But they couldn't have done it anyway. But yeah, a poor afternoon. Sorry for both these teams.
Moving on to Celtic versus Kilmarnock. Celtic winning 5-1 against Kelly. That's Kelly's second 5-1 defeat in 3 weeks. Of course, the other one coming to St Mirren. And yeah, Laurie, it's not looking good. You thought you were bouncing back after the win last week, but it's obviously Celtic. Losing to Celtic is everyone loses to Celtic in a season, but this is dire.
Aye, we've losing to Celtic, and Celtic's away is always a tough fixture. I mean, our record, as in many teams in the Scottish top flight, our record at Parkhead is nothing short of shambolic. Where we won in 2012, and then before that, you have to go all the way back to I think it's the late 50s somewhere for Kelly at Celtic Park. However, there's a way to lose in these games, and it's not totally surrender and hold a white flag, 24 minutes, concede four, you know. And some of the goals, right? And even you get into this more than me, but some of the goals are cracking, but then we should be closing the Saturday down. We shouldn't be letting Cameron Carter Vickers. I know, Ryan, you got your opinion on that. We shouldn't be letting Cameron Carter Vickers totally just stroll forward, hit a pop shot and see what happens. You know, that shouldn't happen. And then, well, half time comes around, and Derek McInnes's world. He wants to stop the bleeding, quote unquote. So he brings on Robbie D. He goes back to his favourite, Corey Daba in the midfield for no good reason. And we take off Danny Armstrong and Bobby Wales, taking off Wales fair enough with that. A young striker who's not exactly physical, played up front on his own against Celtic is not exactly wise. But taking Danny Armstrong off, who, yes, did score the luckiest goal of his career, is one of these ones where he was at least someone that could get it up the park, but no. And a stat that was unbelievable during the game, and I don't remember the figure off the top of my head, one of the lads might. Celtic now have the most passes ever recorded in the SPFL since the Opta stats began. It's certainly over 1,000. And Kelly were like, we were just a couple of hundred maybe in comparison. It was something
Uh,
mental.
Laurie,
Oh,
see,
Celtic had
Sorry, Ethan, just
paper.
before we talk about this, Laurie talking about McInnes making the changes there has sparked something in my memory that I forgot to say about the Rangers game on Thursday. I thought, when we went down to 10, Ferguson not changing anything was quite brave, actually. We just switched to a 4 and we defended really well. And, we still had an out ball when we needed to get out. So, yeah, that just sparked my memory. And what Laurie's just said there, I think it is, you know, you stop the bleeding, fine. But if you want to just not be under the cosh for the whole game, I think not having Wales or Armstrong out there is a big mistake.
Yeah.
Well, they only conceded one goal after that, though, so you could say that in a way it did stop the bleeding.
It did. And to be fair to McInnes, that one
Yeah, but
goal
what's the point in
was
stopping the
right.
bleeding when the body's already cold? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Well, goal difference can come into it when how tight the league is, and if
Our
come
goal
on, the game's already gone at 4-1, isn't it? So
to keep up the blood and injury analogies, our goal difference is gash as it is. So what difference there are? Well, 4 goal drubbing, mate. But another thing in terms of stats as well, Anthony Ralston has scored 2 goals against us this season. That's a worry.
Oh yeah,
yeah, he's only 2 goals against. Uh, he's only 2 goals this season have been against Kelly, both um, to stretch it to a 4-goal lead, both at Celtic Park.
And
So
both right at the end.
yeah, I know. Starting the very first game of the season and then the last game pre-split, so quite strange. But Celtic were pretty good for the opening half an hour anyway. I think, as you said, I didn't watch the game as I said, but from looking at the goals, come on, it's just so far off Celtic, sitting so deep. That Scales can pass the ball to Carter Vickers, who takes a few strides forwards, and don't take it away from him. It's one of the best goals of the season. It'll definitely be up for that award. But yeah, all of the goals, Kelly just too far away from Celtic. But Celtic did play very well in the first half. It was a bit like the Hearts game the other week, where Celtic played brilliant in the first half, blow Hearts away. Then the second half's a bit of a non-event, and I think it was the same here because there really wasn't much until Ralston got his goal. But yeah, business most of the time as usual at Celtic Park for Celtic, apart from obviously the defeat against Rangers. Maeda with another goal, as he kind of maybe has a slight chance at 40. Hatate with a double, his first goal, an absolute peach, I think, as Laurie mentioned. And that's him up to 10 goals this season, the first time he's ever hit double digits. So yeah, just a good day all round for Celtic. There was maybe a slight chance of hope in the stadium that would be the crowning moment. But obviously, Yanis Hadji's goal, which we'll get onto, had something else to say about that. Sorry, another stat I had about Daisen Maeda. He's now scored in 8 consecutive home starts, and he's the first Celtic player to do that since Henrik Larsson. So that's quite immense company for
yeah,
Maeda.
Daisen Maeda is better or level with Henrik Larsson. So, Ryan, I believe you had a Kelly rant you wanted to go on.
Well, first of all, before I go on a Kelly rant here, I think it's important to give Celtic their flowers. They were miles ahead of Kelly all game. I mean, from the opening minute, and I actually think, to be honest with you, going back to what Ethan said, Celtic beat Kilmarnock 4-0 at the start of the season. And I think, even though it's Celtic Park, I think the alarm bells should have been ringing for Kelly quite early on in the season, because yes, there's going to Parkhead and getting beat, but Kelly don't go to Celtic Park and ship 4 goals very often. I mean, Kelly don't go anywhere and ship 4 goals very often. They're a defensively resolute side.
Not
So,
this season.
but for me,
Think of
No, not this season, mate.
of the
But
dog.
for me, I'm watching Kelly, right? And Kelly have, big brick shithouses at the back. Excuse my language there.
Oh
But
no,
they've
our
they've
streak
got
of no swearing's ended.
it was always going to end to me, boys. But they've got two boys at the back, right? And I'm watching before Carter Vickers scores his goal. I'm watching Liam Scales of all people try a 20-yard shot, 25-yard shot, and I think that's indicative of you've got to go to Celtic Park and earn some respect, right? You've got to earn some respect, regardless of whether you get beat 4-5-0. You've got to have Celtic respect you. Kilmarnock from minute one sat off, let Celtic come for them, conceded early, which Hatate, fair play, some goal, and then the second goal, again, great play, can't argue with it. Then you let a centre back smash a ball out from 25 yards out, Carter Vickers, and then from there you let Rio Hatate just slide the ball into the box. You've got Lewis Mayo on the ground looking like he doesn't know what he's doing. You've let Anthony Ralston, and I'm sorry, Anthony Ralston, one of the worst right backs in Scottish, one of the worst right backs in Scottish football. He
Scotland
scores.
International, mate, starts.
Aye, mate, and that says a lot
Like
about
a
Steve
miracle.
Clark. But we don't want to get on to Steve Clark because we'll be here all night. Um, but and I think indicative of Kilmarnock's season and a stat that's indicative of why Kilmarnock are where they are. Danny Armstrong, that was his first goal. That was Danny Armstrong's first goal of the season. And I think that's indicative of why Kilmarnock are in the position they're in. Because the player who quite often could get them out of trouble, the player who can make things happen, has had his head turned in August and he's just not turned his head back since. And he's quite honestly let Killy down this season. I think Vassell getting injured hasn't helped them. I think games where they would pick up points, and what I also don't think's helped them is Kelly have been known as a disciplined team under McInnes. They had about 9 red cards in the first 10 games of the season. They had a boy sent off every week. I mean, Joe Wright and Dabber, Donnelly got sent off at one point, I'm sure. So I think Kelly have lost what makes Kelly a defensively resolute side who can score a couple goals against you. And for me, regardless of whether Kelly stay up, I think McInnes has to go because
Wow.
I think he's lost half the Kelly support this season. Because, and as much as I'm happy that we beat Kelly 5-1, I am sorry, we don't beat Kelly. We don't beat Kelly. And to beat Kelly 5-1, I think that just shows everything about Derek McInnes. And I think the writing's on the wall. He's not going to be there for much longer.
Yeah, Kilmarnock with
Yeah, I'll
result
jump
this
in there,
season.
right?
Been loads of goals. Sorry, Laurie, to cut you off there. I can think of a few off the top of my head. You've obviously got St Mirren. You've got Celtic there. You've got Celtic at the start of the season. You've got Rangers beating them 6-0 at Ibrox and then beating them 4-2 at Rugby Park, where Kelly were 2-0 up. And yeah, Ryan, I think it really just speaks to what you were saying about they've lost what makes them Kilmarnock under Derek McInnes.
Yeah,
I think
everything Kelly is. Sorry,
fair
Laurie,
enough.
but everything Kelly's just. It's not been positive this season from the get go. I think you can't. You can speak about European hangover for the first couple of games of the season. I'll give you a European hangover for the first couple of games of the season. I can give you that, right? But you've pushed Copenhagen all the way. Copenhagen struggled to get by yous, and I'm watching St Johnstone sitting bottom of the table spank you 3-0 2 games into the
Exactly.
season. And I think something that's even
That's
worse.
exactly it, Ryan. That's exactly it. We ran Copenhagen so close across both legs, and then we kind of have a bundle against Johnson. Joe Wright gets sent off, and we let Kimbio
Oh, that's
Kansas
still one of the
we
worst
let
red cards I've ever seen. What was the guy doing, man? Uh, but yeah,
Mate, but even going on to like games they've lost, right? You've shipped 6-0 at Ibrox. That does against probably the worst Rangers team since Pedro Caixinha.
yeah.
You've let Danilo who every time you see him on the pitch, he looks like Alfredo Morelos in his last season, unfit, unbothered, and can he hit a bundle,
I would
right?
disagree with that.
Cyril Dessers, 2 goals, right? And Dessers is as much as Dessers gets a lot of stick and there's a lot of jokes about Cyril Dessers, he's a good striker and he scores goals. He misses chances that you think he should put away. But even going back to, you've went to St Mirren Park and we don't score many goals as it is. I mean, our goal difference is shocking. I'm watching us score 5 goals. I was sat in my seat thinking, am I on psychedelics? What's happening here? I watch and then Kelly get a penalty, which is a Stonewall penalty. Richard Taylor, obviously, doing his UFC career a bit too early, taking somebody down. But I don't recognise Kelly. I don't recognise him. I think when Joe Wright's been your best player all season, it says a lot about Kelly. And you've got 2 goalies in Robbie McCrory and Kieran O'Hara who couldn't blooming fight sleep. It's just, I don't know what Kelly have done. I don't know what went wrong in this recruitment process this season. But Derek McInnes has got his recruitment wrong, his tactics wrong, and the whole season wrong. And I hate to say it, I do think Kelly deserved to go down.
I've got to say, I can't argue with most of that, Ryan. I really can. You've summed up the feelings of many a Kelly fan, I've got to say. And as for McInnes, I was very pro McInnes until probably that game in Paisley, but since then I've been at best on the fence and at worst wanting him to go. I think we'll be stuck with him to the end of the season, but at the end of the season there will definitely be a conversation to be had there.
Yeah, I think so, definitely. I think you could say it's gone stale under McInnes. As Ryan said, I think they lack an identity, which you always associated with them, have been hard to break down, especially the rugby part. I know the home form hasn't been the worst this season, but the amount of goals that Kilmarnock have shipped just against Celtic and Rangers away from home is concerning. But on the bright side for Kilmarnock, the fixtures only get easier from now on. But I do worry about Kilmarnock because I see most of the other teams on better runs of form at the moment. Maybe apart from Ross County, who are struggling as well. But I think even St Johnstone and Dundee have been on better form recently. So yeah, it's concerning times. But yeah, that's what I've got to say on Kilmarnock. But for Celtic, yeah, they need to wait 2 weeks to wrap up the title. They've obviously got the Scottish Cup semi where they'll look for revenge against, which some said was a write-off in the semi-final, but St Johnstone proved last week that maybe it wasn't. So that'll maybe be more of an interesting tie than first thought. But I think the most interesting tie is definitely going to be the other one between Hearts and Aberdeen.
Sorry, what were you saying there? I zoned out a little minute. I was reading something. What was the point you made there, Ethan?
We just kind of went over we went into a little bit of the Scottish Cup championship, maybe the most kind of interesting the ties with Hearts and Aberdeen. I'll let you take the lead on that, Ethan.
I was just saying about it's concerning for Kelly. Celtic will have to wait to clinch the title, but they'll look ahead for revenge in the semi-final, which will be a more interesting cup semi-final than maybe we first thought. But I think the Hearts Aberdeen one's still the highlight of the weekend.
Yeah, I'd agree. I'd agree with that. Right, do you want to move on to the next game on the Saturday? Dundee versus St Johnstone. Dundee United. No, nobody come for me.
Yeah.
Dundee United versus St Johnstone. Dundee United get the 1-0 win over the Perth Saints, who still languish at the bottom. Quite fortunately for Kilmarnock and Dundee, the real Dundee. No, not the real Dundee. Oh my gosh, I've really done myself here. The blue Dundee, they're Dundee FC.
Don't stop digging the hole, mate.
The dark blues of Dundee.
Yeah, the one with Simon Murray, Adam Murray. But yeah, right. Dundee United getting the win. Good in their for them sort of chasing third, but and bad for St Johnstone. I don't really think there's a lot more to say about that. It's just kind of a dead rubber game.
Yeah. I think Dundee United just keep going. Brilliant season for them. Sitting fourth before the split as the newly promoted team, just a testament to how well Jim Goodwin's done this season. I think he could definitely be in with a shout for manager of the season because that's just a great achievement. And they're still very much in the race for third. They've had different journeys to Hibs and Aberdeen. Aberdeen obviously started brilliantly, fell away. Hibs obviously started terribly, and now they're playing brilliantly. Dundee United have just been steady throughout the season. Brilliant recruitment, and I'm going to say they've secured Europe at least. They could have automatic group stage football if they can get third. I still fancy Hibs for that, but Dundee United just keep going on. It wasn't the best game, but Dundee United just edged it with that Adebayoga goal. But for St Johnstone, I think they'll still have something to say, but 5 points adrift with 5 games left. It's going to be difficult, but you never know. So they're still in with a shout, I think.
See, Ethan, a little thing you touched on there. Dundee United are in Europe regardless at this point, because Celtic are winning the Scottish Cup, let's face it. Celtic are going and winning the Scottish Cup, so fifth place is getting Europe anyway. But Dundee United, Jim Goodwin, unbelievable performance from his team this season. After his spell at Aberdeen, a lot of Dundee United fans questioned him being appointed manager. He's done excellently there. St Johnstone, they're still fighting the old dog yet. And you know what? Obviously you guys follow me on Twitter. I don't know if you saw my tweet about. For me, St Johnstone, they can stay up, but you've got your chairman coming out and saying we're destined to be in the Championship again at some point, and I think that sends completely the wrong message out about your club. But touching on Dundee United again, I hope Dundee United finish fourth, and I'll tell you why. And Laurie's not going to like this wee stat, right? Last season, Killie came up from the Championship, and in all intents and purposes, they stumbled over the line in the Championship. Dundee United last season, I would say they stumbled over the line slightly in the Championship. They should have wiped the league. They should have wiped away with the league. Should have run away with it. They didn't. They got it done in the end, but they had to work for it. If they finish fourth, they get Europe, same as Kelly did in their first season under Derek McInnes. So what I'm saying is, and I'm hoping this happens because I don't like Dundee United because they always beat us. If Dundee United finish fourth, they're going to have the exact same fate as Kilmarnock next season.
Possibly, but the Falkirk have the same.
I think you're right.
The Falkirk have the same fate as the teams you've mentioned there. Do they come up and make a charge for Europe?
I'll be honest with you, and I said this to Alex the other day. I do think Falkirk will be up there, and maybe not Europe. Maybe it's a step too far, but I do think Falkirk next season will be up there in terms of fighting for that top six because you see the way they play. They play absolutely sensationally. They've had 2 years of just a non-stop winning mentality. I do honestly think Falkirk will push for that top six next season. Whether they get it or not will be a different story.
Falkirk
I hope they don't because I want my top six for 4 years in a row.
Falkirk to come up and win the SPFL.
Well, mate, stranger things have happened, and Brendan Rodgers is probably going to walk out halfway through his third season because Brendan Rodgers likes to walk out in the third season. But I think Falkirk can be up there in the top six and win the league. Maybe win the league, maybe not, but I think they'll be up there.
You said about
I don't think that's a crazy shout.
What you said about Brendan Rodgers, I think it's feasible because if a club comes in for him like in a top five league, he'll go tomorrow because he's not I feel like some Celtic fans have been fooled again, and they're like, he's back, he's a Celtic man and all that. But as soon as the next opportunity comes along, Brendan Rodgers will boost, and that's not because I'm just saying
But see,
I'm not just saying that. I'm just saying I think that's the way he is. He's a mercenary, and he'll take the opportunities when they come. There's no real sense of loyalty there, I
but
don't think.
the thing with that is though, right? When he came back, he said, "I'm here for my 3-year contract." He said repeatedly in years since, "I'm here for my 3-year contract." And you say Celtic fans have got on board with him, and for a large part, yes. But you saw when he first came back, they went through that tricky spell at Christmas, and all you saw was Brendan Rodgers out. You're a charlatan. You're a charlatan. And you saw all this negativity. But for me, what else can Brendan Rodgers do at Celtic? Realistically, you've made them the most successful club in Scotland. You've finally managed to navigate your way into the Champions League group stages. Something I believe he failed to do in his time before. He's going to win a treble this season. He's won every trophy in Scotland. What more is Brendan Rodgers to do? So if a
There's
team did
not much.
come in for him, you can't begrudge him for leaving because he's done everything. Because Celtic aren't winning the Champions League because they don't know how to win a knockout tie of football. They don't know how
In
to win a
Europe.
knockout tie in Europe. So they're never winning the Champions League or the Europa League. There's nothing more for Brendan Rodgers to do. So if he turned around and was like halfway through the season, because I do think there's going to be a lot of jobs opening up next season because Ange Postecoglou is not going to last very long at Tottenham anymore. I do think Brendan Rodgers will walk away, and rightfully so because you can't do anything else.
I think that he might do his 3 years. I can't see him staying beyond the 3 years. I do get the sort of
he's been
point
tricked.
we're making.
He's been tricked by the sweet talk of Rodgers. I'm joking. I didn't mean to jump on.
Was,
No,
was
no,
Brendan
I was
Rodgers
just
not quoted the other day saying something like, I will 150% or something like that be here next season? Like, it
yeah.
was opened anyway. So he's
I don't think he. I don't
behind
think he
the,
will. I don't think he will leave,
wash
but I
any
think he
media
will.
rumors.
I think he will. I can't see him extending. I think, as Ryan made a good point there, I think he's won everything. I mean, for the seasons he's been here for the full season, he's won the treble every time.
No,
So,
he hasn't.
I mean, yes, he could maybe do a little bit better in the Champions
That's all.
League.
You just lied.
No, sorry, I didn't. 3 out of the 4 seasons, yes, my mistake.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They really hold on to that League Cup, those Rangers fans.
Well, he's quite right to challenge me. I made a mistake. I apologise. But 3 out of the 4 seasons, yes. And there isn't much more he can do domestically. Maybe he would like to achieve more on the European front. Whether he thinks he's got the squad and he's got the backing capable to do that, you don't know. But I think he will stay for next season. But I think that could be his last season. But yeah, I think there will be jobs opening up. I think Ange Postecoglou doesn't have long left. I mean, could there even be a straight swap there? I don't think so,
He's
but
losing the
it would be
plot.
interesting to see anyway.
He's
What?
losing his mind, Big Edge. He's going crazy.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Did
He
he
is.
No,
get
I
that
think
spiel
Ange has
about
lost it.
kids being disrespectful with their phones after he's just assaulted someone? What is he talking about? He's like, it's fair.
No, I didn't see
Doing
that.
it,
I
so
I,
didn't
it's
see
great,
that.
but
Ange
he's
lost
like a
it.
phone in my face. I'm taking it. So, just
I think he was lucky. I think he was, to be fair, lucky. I think, you can't dispute Postecoglou what he did for Celtic, and he won all those trophies, and he did have relative success. But I don't think you can get away from the fact Rangers were terrible. Rangers hired Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, who, apart from a Europa League final, it looked like walking football at times. Then he
Scottish Cup win
got
as
to
well,
go up
mate.
against
Scottish Cup win as well.
oh sorry mate, that Scottish Cup one where you beat Hearts in the final. Sorry, great Hearts team that year won it. And then you look, and then you hire Molly
What
Mick,
can you remind me
and
what St Mirren's done within the last 10 years that isn't like the championship or something like that?
we've won the we beat Rangers twice in one season trophy, mate. It's what we've won in the last 10 years.
Yeah,
Eh?
it's quite a big trophy for clubs at our level, to be fair.
But you look at the managers Postecoglou had up against him when he was here, and he had a glorified PE teacher in Mick Bill, who let's not
What's the
forget
best thing I've ever heard?
he signed Sam Lammers. Where's Sam Lammers now? Oh, sorry, he's not at the football club anymore. He bought TikTok Todd, who then left halfway through because he fell out with Clermont. He bought Kieran Dow, who put in one of the worst 90 minutes of football I've ever watched yesterday for Birmingham City. He bought in just absolute dross. The only good player you could say he brought in was Dessers, but even then, Rangers fans are on Dessers' back all the time, even though he's your top goal scorer.
You brought in Leon Balogun.
Aye, but you can't really count Leon Balogun as a Mick Bill signing
You
because
brought in-
Leon Balogun was there with Steven Gerrard.
You brought in Nico Raskin.
Nico Raskin, that was Neil's Coppen, mate.
No, it was I'm
You
fairly
really
sure
think Molly Mick knows players in Belgium?
fairly sure it was Big Mick. The
To be
same
fair, I think he's worked in various countries and whatnot, so it wouldn't surprise me.
same window as Todd Cantwell.
I'll give you that one then, Alex. I'll
Uh,
give you that one. But
I don't know why I'm defending Michael Beale here. I hate him.
yeah, I'm thinking that here, mate. I was like, he ran your club into the ground near enough.
But yeah, what were we even talking about? Oh yeah, Postecoglou and him playing against jobbers in his time at Celtic. So basically, his two
And
seasons are null and void. Take the trophies off the list. Oh, look at that! Rangers are
to
ahead.
be fair, Hearts fans wanted that in 2020. No one played the season. Look how that worked out for them. They spent more time in court cases than they did winning games of football that year. But it's just the only. I rate Postecoglou for what he did in the style of football he brought and the players he's brought. But in my opinion, I think the reason why you can say Neil Lennon's a successful manager and Martin O'Neill's a successful manager is because they had good Rangers teams up against them. I think you can only call yourself a good Celtic manager if you have good Rangers teams up against you.
I disagree.
Because because let's face it, it's the only competition they've got.
Of course, you disagree.
Yeah, but that just undermines Scottish football.
Yeah, it does because it's
a full season not losing a game.
Oh,
Because what?
So yeah, because it's a terrible league.
Is the Scottish Prem that bad? I mean, it's
I
not great.
think
But
I'm
like,
actually good.
I'm just gonna.
you can only if you're any Celtic manager or any Rangers manager or whatever, you can only beat what's in front of you.
Yeah, no, I
exactly.
understand that, but I think
I'm a firm believer.
rings true. I think you get to a certain level of success over an extended period of time, even if the competition isn't up to scratch. You could make the point that they are obviously. Ethan, I'm not going to dispute that an invincible season is a great achievement. Obviously, I'm not going to dispute that. But yeah, no, that's fantastic. That's Brendan Rodgers was a good Celtic manager. Neil Lennon, good Celtic manager. Martin O'Neill, good Celtic manager. But I feel like maybe Ryan's point.
Ronnie Dyler, great Celtic manager.
Yeah, I feel like Ryan's point is perhaps that Postecoglou was good, but he's not. Maybe not the level of competition wasn't there the same as it has been Although that he has the silverware in his cabinet, you wouldn't stack him up against the likes of Martin O'Neill or even Neil Lennon during his prime years.
I disagree.
Okay, why do you disagree?
Because I don't think you can blame a manager for what's they're
No, I'm
having to
not
play
blaming.
against.
I'm not blaming him. It's not his fault. But you can only play against what's in front of him. But it's not like it's like. Well, I'm trying to think of an outside Scottish football example. Oh, off the top of my head, it's really tough.
Guardiola for the last 4 years until he got exposed as a fraud this season.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there
Birmingham
is an
City in League
example.
One.
Eh?
Birmingham City in League One, they spent 10 million to win the league.
Well, they spent 10 million on one player, I'm sure, um, but yeah, but
Well, I think, in my opinion, I think yes, Martin O'Neill's one of the best Celtic managers of all time because he came into the Celtic job where Celtic weren't the bee's knees and winning everything. Where as Ange Postecoglou was the kind of the similar because he had to rebuild a team which had just been blown out the water by one of the best Rangers teams of the decade. I know that Rangers team didn't last too long,
the best Rangers,
but they still went
I think.
the best Rangers team of the decade. Then yes, so he still had to overcome that. I think it's a little bit naive to say that he's not a good Celtic manager.
The recording actually cut out there because we kind of lost track of the timing on the Zoom, just because we were in such a heated debate about how bad Ange Postecoglou is. But we'll leave it there and say he's the worst Celtic manager of all time, and we'll move on to the Sunday games. Rangers travelled to Pittodrie, putting out the B team basically to take on Aberdeen. Rangers went 2-0 down. Ross McCausland sent off. Goals from Hamza Igaman and Yanis Hadji brought it back to 2 each. Rangers again going 2 goals down and coming back, which is a theme. If that happens on Thursday, I don't think there will be any coming back. But yeah, I don't really have good. We didn't lose, but the league's done, and it's not what Rangers are focusing on, as you could see by the squad they put out. So some nice goals as well though from Rangers. And nice Aberdeen goals, nice free kick. Maybe Kelly should have done a bit better. But yeah, that's kind of what I have to say. Anyone want to jump in?
I think you said it pretty well. I mean, Rangers did put out the B team. You could literally say the B team with former Aberdeen man, and if you ask an Aberdeen fan, Snake, Connor Barron leading out the team. A bit of a strange choice of captain. I mean, then it's who do you go with, I suppose, out of that team, isn't it? I mean, there is the Liam Kelly argument. Whether you like a goalkeeper as a captain, debatable though. But yeah, very much Rangers B team. I mean, would you say that, Alex, would you say any of them left much of an impression and maybe gave Barry Ferguson, I was going to say Fleetwood Monk there actually, something to think about?
No, I wouldn't say so.
No.
I think I think the only player I would say that really surprised me from Rangers' point of view was Finlay Curtis. I thought Finlay Curtis was pretty good.
He's a good
Made some
player,
good.
Ethan.
Yeah, I know, but I haven't. He hasn't really had the chance to sort of perform on like a big stage for 90 minutes. I know he's had cameos here and there, but I think starting, he obviously set up the first goal with the flick on for Igaman, and he nearly set up another goal, which was called by the officials as out. At least they didn't try and mix up and overturn something that they can't overturn this time. But yeah, I thought it was Aberdeen. They'll see it as 2 points dropped ultimately, because I think we had enough chances to kill off Rangers at 2-0. Clarkson's free kick, he catches Kelly off guard. I think Kelly should maybe do a bit better. And then Gay with a good finish. Then Igaman, a really good goal from him. He's up there himself and he kind of works a yard and then gets a good finish off. And then Nisbet thinks he's got his goal, which was probably a long time coming in the match. Then it's ruled out. Then Yanis Hadji with the moment of magic after Dessers hits the post.
See now, like you're chuckling there with that one. That was It wasn't a bad effort. He was really unlucky with that one.
No, he was unlucky with that, to be fair, yeah.
He was unlucky, but I think it would have just summed Dessers up, but Hadji bills him out with a brilliant goal. So yeah, Rangers, a point isn't a bad result when you play your second team against a decently on form Aberdeen team. You have the positives of stopping Celtic win the league for another few weeks. You also have the positive of stopping Aberdeen from making any progress on Hibs for third. So yeah, a decent all-round afternoon for Rangers, because in the context of a league it doesn't really matter all that much. But obviously they're focused on Thursday, and the team showed that. I think something we definitely won't be seeing on Thursday is Ross McCausland at fullback or wingback, because he had a really difficult afternoon. 2 yellow cards, which I don't think he could really argue with. But yeah, a decent point for Rangers, a poor point for Aberdeen, being 2 goals up and a man up. But they're still in the fight for that third spot.
Yeah. Ryan, do you have anything to say on the game and the teams?
Oh, for me, a lot of those Rangers players won't see a Rangers shirt again. I think the first half they were poor, they were lackluster. Oscar Cortez is going to Rangers for $4 million in the summer, which
don't remind me.
Which baffles me that I want to be in that transfer room in the summer at Ibrox, man, because you're already paying $4 million for a player who spent more time on the injury table than he has on the pitch. But Danilo just didn't look fit. He's coming back from an injury, you could argue, but at the same time, Ross McCausland, Bugs Bunny. I mean, he played more like Bugs Bunny yesterday, to be perfectly honest with you. I mean, you've got to be more sensible. You've got to be more sensible than that. You're on a booking. Why are you sticking that challenge in? Kiskinen bullied him all game. But I think from an Aberdeen point of view, you've went 2 up. You're a man up. Obviously, we're not going to go over was the ball out, was the ball in saga. We've already had that at Easter Road earlier in the season. I do think there needs to be technology brought in for that, because we've obviously, we might see a referee apology this week yet again. I mean, we've seen a lot of them from Wee Willie coming out and saying teams have been hard done by.
I saw a major story during the week, actually. I can't remember which ref, but he's a VAR ref, and he's been sacked for making major errors in countless games.
He's been sacked, and I do believe that's the amount of accountability that should be placed on referees. If you're having poor games consistently, you're costing, because at the end of the day, some people are going to say, but there's this many minutes still left in the game, sort of thing. But at the end of the day, your decision making, if you make a bad decision, that could be the difference between a team going up and a team going down.
Yeah,
people losing their jobs at football clubs.
Well, this ref in particular, I think, I can't remember his name. He was on the Celtic game, where that he was part of the team that went over. Was the ball in? Was the ball out? he was the referee, I think, who said during the cup final, "Oh, Czerny's more outside the box than in." You know, cost Rangers a League Cup final. Of course, Rangers still probably still had it in their hands, but if they'd had that penalty, I believe that was an extra time. I don't know if Celtic would have rallied and got another goal because at extra time both teams looked dead on their feet. He's made a few high profile errors, and yeah, I think obviously you'd
Yeah.
never want to see someone losing their
So
job, but I think he suffered the consequences of making those errors.
Look,
Aye,
let's
so that official in question, Alex, was Alan Muir, who
Yeah,
you may recognise as he did used to be a referee who you would see, in a man in the middle of games. He was one of the SSA's Category 1 officials, and he was one of the first full-time VAR referees. I want to say him and Greg Aitken, if memory serves. And so it says here that he will be able to act as referee observer in the future, but will no longer take charge of games from the VAR booth at Clydesdale House after a number of controversial VAR calls drew criticism from both halves of the old firm, as you mentioned. And this comes about, it was a mutual consent thing. He wasn't sacked, it's a mutual agreement after what I'm reading here is crisis talks between, well, Alan Muir, Willie Collum, the head of refereeing, and someone who I forgot was still involved at SFA, the VAR manager and former English Premier League referee, Martin Atkinson. Totally forgot about him.
let's not get things twisted here. One man's been sacked for his refereeing performances, but it shouldn't be the only one. I mean, the amount of bad refereeing decisions I have seen in Scottish football this season has been an absolute joke and has brought this as honestly brings our game into disrepute. It's week after week. Some team, no matter who you are, whether you're Celtic or you're St Johnstone, some team has been adversely affected all 33 match days so far. And that's not right. The refereeing standard in Scottish football's terrible. But going back to the Aberdeen game, for me, Jimmy Thelin has lost Aberdeen 3 points in that game because Keskinen, he is having a field day. He is absolutely having a field day with that Rangers backline. Tavernier couldn't catch him when he came on. He was going through everybody and he subs him off. And those two subs he made, it then changed the shape of Aberdeen and it didn't really look settled after that. And Rangers don't go on to equalise with, let's face it, no goalkeeper saving that strike from Hadji. It's pinpoint.
well,
But for me, Jimmy Thelin
sorry, just
changing
on
the
the
shape.
changes you said there. I think my dad mentioned to me that he thought Rangers actually, were allowed back in because Graham Shinney was out on that left hand side. He said he was tearing it up, and then when Tulleen made the changes, Shinney got moved centrally. Rangers started having more joy.
Yeah, that's what you get when you stick a 33, 34-year-old Graham Shinney in the middle of the park. And if anything, Rangers will take a point from yesterday being 2-0 down a man down. But I don't agree with the sort of ethos from Rangers at the moment. Yes, Europe is the only thing you really have left to fight for. But you're at Rangers Football Club. No game at Rangers Football Club is a nothing game, regardless of whether the title's done, whether anything. You're at Rangers. You need to go out and win every single game of football, regardless of how much
We've got our own
everything's
Gary
done.
Neville right here.
And then
This is Manchester United.
You're going out and playing an Aberdeen side who Rangers absolutely hate. There's a massive rivalry between them. And you're having fans on social media saying, "Oh, let's focus on Europe. This is, this doesn't matter. This is a nothing game." You're at Rangers Football Club. You have to win every single game of football. I don't care if the league's done. I don't care if you can't win anything for the rest of the season. You've got to win every game at a club like Rangers. And I think that's the standards that have slipped this season that have got Rangers in the position they're in. But if anything good came of that game for Rangers is they've escaped with a point. They've scored with the last kick of the game, which can give them a confidence boost going over to Bilbao. But I think the most satisfying thing for every single Scottish football fan is in existence is watching Graham Shinnie have a wee cry at the end because he's not got his way again.
Yeah, he loses it, doesn't he? I think Suter's having a word with him, and he starts losing his mind.
I thought Barry Ferguson was going to come in with wee Bob Malcolm and absolutely suplex him.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said there, Ryan, about the standards slipping. Obviously, you still want to win every game, but I feel like, with such a big game on the horizon and the bare bones sort of squad, with the injuries and the suspensions and whatnot, playing a rotated side is sensible. And you know, the team that Rangers put out the other day wasn't a great team, but this probably is going to sound incredibly disrespectful. But on those players, best days, I'd still expect them to beat Aberdeen. And
Absolutely. Like if you're like, it doesn't matter if you're a B team at Rangers, you're a sub. At the end of the day, you should be going on a pitch against Aberdeen and beating them. That is you with a bigger club. A lot of money, and let's not forget, a lot of money's been spent on that team who are out there. It's not like they've came in free transfers like Rangers like to do recently, and they've came, with no price tag attached. 6 million on Danilo, 4 million on you've got 4 million on Cortez, you've spent 1.5 on Proper, you've spent money on Nisara. I mean, you had
Ensela was a free.
was he a free? I apologise then. But then you had a Bajrami 4.3 million when Philippe Cremont said all window, we can't sign unless we sell. And then you had a centre back from Lille, who I'll be honest with you, I didn't know the boy existed. He was hauled off the park after 9 minutes because he got injured. I mean, you should not, like, B team or not, you should be going to Aberdeen and beating them. Because there's a lot of money in that squad. But for me, what struck most is, and watching Celtic and Rangers this weekend, is Rangers' second string team. You had Danilo, Cortez, McCausland, Finlay, Curtis all up top, right? Celtic, they brought Jota and Nicholas Kuhn off the bench. Celtic's recruitment has been miles ahead of Rangers, and squad miles ahead. So Rangers need to do something in the summer to boost squad depth, because you've got players sitting on your bench earning 30,000 a week who clearly aren't good enough for your club, don't really care about your club. And the fact Yanis Hadji, the way he's been treated by Rangers over the last couple of years, is the one who comes on the pitch and does what he does. And then you've got Hamza Rigaman, a 20-year-old, who's just absolutely 22, sorry, mate, sorry. But you've got a 22-year-old coming on the pitch and being your best player when he's came in for pennies. And then you've got 6 million, Danilo up top, who couldn't hit a barn door.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Can you
I'd
argue
agree.
with that, Alex?
I think. Sorry, I'll just jump in before that. So I just think, I don't think that sort of Rangers team's sort of good enough for, like. I think Rangers will need to improve their squad as a whole, because I don't think they have enough strength and depth. Sorry, to go at like a full season. I think we've seen that this season domestically, in the European games where Rangers have got, and in the big games against Celtic, where Rangers have got the first team. It's a solid first team that can compete with Celtic, can compete in Europe.
January 2nd, we had a back line cobbled together by strings. So
no, but I think if you look at that team and that's your second sort of string players, most of them, I think Connor Barron's probably going to start, and Liam Kelly as well. Most of it's a second string team. I don't think a lot of those players are good enough for Rangers. So I think that's maybe the difference. Whereas I think Celtic have got players in almost every position that are pretty capable, at least in the Scottish Premiership, where I think yesterday a lot of these Rangers players proved they weren't. So yeah.
Yeah. I feel like for a lot of them, though, it remains to be seen. Oscar Cortez has been unlucky with injuries. He's still only 20 or 21. 4 million's a lot, and I'm not happy with that. I don't think that's worth it at all. But what, he's going to be a Rangers player in the summer, like full fledged. So we need to run with him and see what happens. Danilo has been disappointing. He's been unlucky with injuries. I remember when they first came in, I was quite excited because his movement was really good. And he could finish, but I don't know what if it is a fitness thing that's happened to him of late. He's not been getting a lot of game time. A lot of his game time's been coming off the bench. Although a few times when he has come off the bench, he has scored. So I think there is something there with Danilo. Bayrami, he's too slow. You can tell he's come from Italian football. He likes to take his time on the ball, 2, 3, 4 touches. Just not enough. You'll have some big bricklayer on your back by that time, smashing you, or like the Scottish, the Scottish central defenders, the SPFL central defenders. You'll have someone on you. Straight away. So by Rami, for me, isn't good enough. Fernandez is going to go back to Lille. Enciala, still only 20. Give him time. First season of professional football. McCausland gone. Get him gone. I just think he had a good breaking into the team and then he's kind of stalled. Why are you laughing there, Ethan?
No reason.
What's funny, man?
Um, and
It might be. I don't want to speak. I don't want to speak ill of footballers and their appearances, man. But it must be the ugliest footballer at Rangers. Like you've got some good-looking guys in that team, like Tavernier, Danilo, Igmane, and all of them, right? And then you've got wee Ross McCausland, and I can't get away from all the memes comparing this boy to Bugs Bunny because it is absolutely identical.
Right, well, I think that was on to the last game.
Yeah, I was just going to say on the couple more players that started, I don't think Robin Proper's good enough. He's too slow as well. Finlay Curtis, I think if he gets game time, he's got a future. And Hamza Agaman, who also started against Aberdeen, is the future of the Rangers front line. I think we can all agree on that one.
Yeah,
I think we can agree on it, but whether he sticks it, when he's scoring like he is in Europe and he's scoring like he is for Rangers, do Rangers have him for much longer? Because a team
Hopefully
comes
not.
in with 20.
Hopefully
A
we
team
can
comes
ship him
in,
for 20 mil or something.
but that's the problem. You've had Morelos, you've had Kent, you've had all these players in years gone by, been absolutely brilliant, and you've not sold them. So I think
Yeah.
Rangers need to. I think Rangers, to be honest with you, whilst his stock's high, maybe get another season out of him and then sell him.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, definitely. Right, on to the last game. 17 unbeaten in the Scottish Premiership. Hibs with a 4-0 win over Dundee. And it looks like Hibs are going to finish third quite convincingly. And Laurie, it has been a really, really strong second half of the season for David Gray.
yeah, it really has. I mean, hats off to David Gray and the Hibs hierarchy for sticking with it. I remember in one of the earlier episodes of the Dugout this season, we all kind of thought that, David Gray's time was up, and I heard from a few people that the Hibs were thinking of pulling the trigger. But I mean, You've got to really give him credit where it's due for, he and his team, getting their head down, dividing the plan to get out of the mess they were in. And now, I mean, as we said last week, and I stand by it, now we've got a genuine manager of the year candidate, probably well in front of Jimmy Tulane, who was everyone's favourite for the first half of the season. You know, hats off to him and a resounding victory yesterday, albeit against a very poor, especially defensively, Dundee side.
Yeah, yeah. I just had a brain fart there. I'm getting really tired. For those of you who don't know, well, why would you know? I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning because I had an early shift. So if you've seen me yawning during the podcast, that's why. Uh, we're running out of time, so Ethan and Ryan will just come to you quickly to talk about Hibs, and then we'll wrap it up. Ethan,
Yeah, yeah, a good win for Hibs. Kind of sums up the run really. Really solid performance, dominated from minute 1 to 90. Some good goals as well. Rocky Bashiri opens the scoring, with assisted by Martin Boyle. So now he's only one assist away from his career high in assists. He's already reached his career high for goals this season. I think he'll possibly be a Player of the Year nominee alongside maybe Simon Murray, who didn't have his best of days. And then Kieran Bowie, who's a striker who's excited me. He obviously had a difficult injury at the start of the season, but since he's been back, he's made an impact mostly off the bench. He comes off the bench, gets 2 goals, and then he sets up Dwight Gales. Yeah, I think Hibs, they're not home and hosed for third, but I think with the way they're playing, I think you can definitely see them heading that way. For Dundee, yeah, a really poor afternoon where it just didn't click, and they conceded 4 goals, which they do quite often. So yeah, I think Hibs will finish strongly. I back them for third. Dundee, you just don't know. One week they're the best team in the league, the next they're the worst. So you don't know. But yeah, a brilliant win for Hibs.
and Ryan.
Yeah, after Hibs got beat 2-1 at Easter Road by St Mirren, you thought that was it for David Gray. But they stuck with him, and I think that shows sometimes in football you have to give managers time because he's turned it around massively. He's got them in third spot. He's beat Rangers, he's beat Celtic, playing scintillating stuff, and they're picking up points. Dundee can always score goals but concede more, and it's been a highlight of them under Tony Docherty. Simon Murray, I think, will steer them to safety, but as we touched on earlier in the show, any team in that bottom six could be going down and into a relegation playoff this season because I don't know if any of them can string enough to pull away from the pack. The team who should pull away from the pack is Hearts, but Hearts just don't really turn up at the moment in certain fixtures. So it's going to be interesting to see. But honestly, Dundee just can't defend. Like, I'm sorry. And I think Rangers a couple of weeks ago summed it up when they scored 3 goals and still lost a game of football. So I think Dundee could be in trouble, but any of the 6 in that bottom 6 could be going down in a relegation playoff. And we're all secretly hoping for some dugout content. It will be Kilmarnock versus Ayr United.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not.
Yeah, all of us are hoping for that, even Laurie. So, right, that'll be the end of today's podcast. Very special thank you to our very special guest, Ryan Niven, for coming on. Brought loads of laughs. We didn't quite get to the championship stuff because it's run really long this week. So, if you've made it to the end, I commend you. So thank you to everyone for watching and listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go check out the Twitter at the Dugout 2024. Thank you and goodbye.